All right, so we'll get going. So thanks to everybody for joining the webinar. I'll start out just quickly introducing Matt and I, who will be the presenters today. So I'm Joe Schellerud. I'm the co-founder and the CEO of AdAdvance. So my background is I started as a seller on Amazon in 2014. My background's in engineering and business. And if you look at AdAdvance, we'll walk through the team. But overall, I'm the lead for our development in our marketing teams. And then Matt's going to be the other presenter. So Matt's the other co-founder of AdAdvance and our COO. So he started on PPC in 2016. Previous to working in the Amazon space, he's got a financial controls background, and he's our lead for our account executive team. So pretty much anything working with the clients, Matt's in charge of that. All right, so what we're going to cover today. First, we'll just do a quick intro on AdAdvance, and we'll try to keep that short so we can get into all the key pieces that you can utilize for your accounts to maximize your ad sales and decrease your wasted spend. Once we get through the quick intro, we'll go to our ad optimization approach and strategy. So really setting up the strategy that we have going into the holiday season. Once we get past that point, we're going to focus on our holiday overview and really key dates to look out for. This upcoming month and a half is extremely volatile in customer shopping trends. And so what we want to do is make sure that we can provide proactive moves to anticipate these trends versus being reactive and missing out on major waves for sales, or also major waves where you can waste a lot of your spend. And then what we'll do is we'll follow up with a Q&A at the end. So overall for AdAdvance, we are a small niche agency located in Duluth, Minnesota. So I just provided a little snapshot of Duluth. It's on the tip of Lake Superior. We're pretty close to Canada. We're on the top floor of that white building, which is the Medical Arts Building. So if you're ever in the area, it's a beautiful place to visit in the summer. In the winter, I probably wouldn't come unless you like snow and cold. So for AdAdvance, just to give you a brief background, we specialize just in Amazon PPC. And so this year, our campaigns are expected to gross about $120 million just in ad sales. And if you look at our annual impressions, so our 2020 impressions, are about 8 billion right now. So every single person in the world could see our ads at least once just this year. And if you look at lifetime, we're over double that. So we've got clients around the globe selling in pretty much every category that you can imagine. So we have clients in 5 different continents right now, which is a lot of fun. And then we also work in all the different markets that are available via Amazon's advertising API. So North America, Europe, UAE, Australia, Japan, we optimize in all these different markets. And then for ad management, we manage the sponsored ads, so sponsored products, sponsored brands video, sponsored display. And then we also can manage DSP, which is demand side platform. So it's really an off-market targeting function that Amazon has set up for their advertising. If you look at what makes us different, so we've got an in-house development team. All of the software that we use is proprietary. So really from day one, when Matt and I started AdAdvance, we've really focused on our software and our tools. And so we've got a lot of cool things that we can do, and we can hit on some of those pieces as we go ahead. And then finally, we just do a fixed pricing model, and we're fully month to month. Since I started as a seller, we really try to structure everything in the seller's benefit. At the end of the day, we should be offering our clients a really good financial return, and that's how we keep long-term happy clients. So we like the fixed pricing model, and we like no commitment periods. Again, if we're doing a good job, we should be justifying our rate and our fees. So that's another piece that may be different from other people that you've reached out to in the space. And then finally, really, if you look at what makes us different, so we've got our in-house development team, which really helps to provide a lot of tools and let us get really in depth with a lot of things. But at the same time, there's a lot of benefits that we see for the other advertising managers, like the independent freelancer and the full service agency. So the independent freelancer is really going to be able to provide a lot of personalized support and service, but at the same time, they may not have the tools to support them. Same with a full service agency. They may have a big team, but they tend to do things a lot more manually. But again, they can give you that personalized strategy. And then there's the PPC software companies that tend to try to automate everything and fit everybody in more of a one size fits all box. So really what we try to do is bridge the gap between these three different models and take out the best pieces for each. So from the software side, we can do a lot of amazing things with their software, but at the same time, we never try to over automate. There's a lot of pieces that can be automated. There's a lot of pieces that should never be automated. And that's where our team and our account execs really come in, is that for each product, you're gonna have a different strategy and approach. Coming up to these different periods like we're gonna go through, there's many different strategies that you should take into account. So really what we try to do is just bridge the gap between these three and take the best pieces of each. So this is just a quick snapshot of our team. So there's me and Matt, Kadeen and Rochelle are on our lead and marketing team. Eric, Jeremy, Kylie, and Tony are account execs. And then we've got Alex, Seba, and Zach who are on our development team. All right, so general approach, and we wanted to go through this just to make sure that we're fully aligned for the moves that we're going to suggest going forward. So our general approach for campaigns is we definitely don't want to cap our ad spend if we're getting a solid return. So, and by solid return, we're typically referring to either ACoS or ROAS. And at the end of the day, what we want to do is make sure that we're showing our ads to customers when they're most likely to buy. And then we're cutting back spend when they're least likely to buy. When your customers are least likely to buy, let's your competitors, let's let them get the ad spend and the impressions. When they're most likely to buy, let's be more aggressive and let's push them out. So that's really what we're trying to do. And we're looking at different targets and different placements, and then finding the right times to really boost those bids, and then finding the right times to really cut those back to save your spend for those highest converting periods. There's always going to be different approaches for pieces like new product launches and ranking campaigns. Some of our clients are really focused on aggressive market share expansion or really focused on revenue. So we're going to take different strategies for them. And there's other clients that have different budget or cash flow constraints. So obviously we're going to set a ad spend cap for them, even if we are achieving a good return just because the cash isn't there. So overall, I would say probably 80 to 90% are going to fall in this general approach bucket. There are different pieces that will not align with this, but for the most part, this should be a really solid strategy that you can use going forward and approaching the holiday season. So one big note that we have is with inventory. So 2020 has been a roller coaster of a year, and it's disrupted supply chains and customer shopping habits quite a bit. And so one key piece to note is, while we love ads, if you're gonna run out of stock, definitely do not advertise, or at least cut your advertising back significantly. There's really no reason to run ads if it's just going to accelerate when you run out of stock. So if you're looking like you're going to have stock issues, I would definitely cut back your advertising spend, and then just try to maximize how long you can stay in stock and get a better margin, because you're not wasting some of that money on ad spend. So that's a key piece to look forward to when you're getting into Q4 to make sure that you're going to stay in stock. So we're just going to dive into some really quick math. I'll go through this pretty quickly, but at the same time, this is going to apply to a lot of the suggestions that Matt's going to give based off of the conversion rate that we're seeing for the holidays. So first piece, so conversion rate. All that means is it's the number of orders that you get divided by the number of clicks. So put simply, if we get 100 clicks on your ads and 10 of those convert into orders, we have a 10% conversion rate. The next key equation is our how conversion rate ties to cost per click and your ACoS target. So we can see in this equation, so we have conversion rate times your average sales per order. So when people order, how much are they spending? And then times your ACoS target. So if you're trying to get a 20% ACoS target, that's where that would factor into the equation. And then on the other side of the equation is the cost per click that you can spend on your ads to achieve that ACoS target. So it's probably best illustrated by going through a couple of examples. So let's look at two competing products that both have a $25 sales per order average, and they both have a 20% ACoS target. So product A, let's pretend that it has a 10% conversion rate, meaning that out of every 100 clicks on the ad, 10 people place an order. So at 10% conversion rate, 25% sales per order, and a 20% ACoS target, we're able to spend 50 cents per click to maintain that ACoS of 20%. Now let's look at product B with a 20% conversion rate. So at 20% conversion rate and a $25 sales per order and a 20% ACoS target, now we're able to spend $1 per click. And so you can see that with product B, that company that owns product B is able to spend a lot more on advertising and still meet that same 20% ACoS target. So you can see that conversion rate has a major impact on what you're able to spend or also what ACoS you're able to achieve with your products. So we really focus on our conversion rate quite a bit. And this is going to come into play where going through the different periods, there's going to be days that convert a lot better. And so what we can do with the same products is say on the day before Thanksgiving, it's only going to convert at 10%. But on Cyber Monday, it's going to convert at 20%. That means that we can change up our bids to adjust our cost per click to take that into account and really take advantage of these trends. So that's really what we're trying to get to. So just going into some advanced bid control, and these are some pieces that we do. You don't have to do these pieces to take advantage of a lot of these trends. For the rest of the presentation, we're gonna go through all things that you can do manually, but also just wanna hit on some more advanced things that we do to also take account these trends. So if we can predict future conversion rates, we can set better bids. So if we know what the conversion rates are going to be tomorrow, we can set a very solid bid to try to hit those ACoS targets while maximizing your sales and making sure that we're not wasting any spend. So how we do that is we actually use machine learning models to predict future conversion rate based off of historical trends. So what we can do is look back at previous periods, whether it's comparing a typical Sunday conversion rate to a Monday conversion rate, looking at day of week, or whether it's looking at shopping seasons like Thanksgiving, going to Cyber Monday, going into December and pre-Christmas. We can take all those into account and we use machine learning models to proactively predict where conversion rates are going to go, and then we set bids accordingly. We also use placement adjustments to really control what placements we're showing and make sure that we're maximizing the impressions and the clicks that we're getting for the best performing placements. So when we're talking about placements, this is looking at things like top of search, product page, or rest of search for sponsored products. And then some other pieces that we take into account is there's certain things that we can automate. But again, there's other pieces that we just can't anticipate. And 2020 is a great example for that. All the fulfillment delays that we had in March and April due to the demand in e-commerce, due to all of the lockdowns that we had, our machine learning models are not going to pick that up proactively. And so we need to be there to also provide those moves from our perspective. And the same thing for this holiday shopping period. We're looking at historical trends and making moves, but we're also adjusting as we go too. So we're also making manual moves to help the machine learning models make the right moves. And then the strategy-based optimization approach that we have, if you're doing a new product launch versus an established product, there's different bid techniques that you should use. The same thing for seasonal products that aren't in season right now. They may not follow the same holiday trends. So while we're looking at general trends and we're going to be giving our recommendations for that, you definitely want to take the product level into account when implementing these recommendations as we go. So based off of that, what we have here is looking at our 2019 holiday trends. And so we have two different areas of the chart to focus on. So the first piece is the orange line, and that's the ad conversion rate that we just talked through. And so you can see that that varies pretty wildly as we enter into Thanksgiving and get into Cyber Monday. So there's some big shifts in conversion rate that we want to account for, and Matt's going to go through these in a lot more detail. And the other piece is total impressions. So impressions is going to be kind of a good indicator of overall traffic on Amazon's website. And so you can see when there's spikes on the blue bars, which are impressions, that's when you're getting a ton of traffic coming in. So Black Friday, Cyber Monday, definitely leading the pack there. So with the traffic along with the conversion rate, that's really going to help set the total sales that we can get. And based off of the conversion rate, that's going to set a lot of the moves that we're going to make. So at this point, I'll kick it over to Matt to go through each of these individual periods.
Sounds good. Thanks, Joe. So like you mentioned earlier, the better we understand and can predict conversion rates, the more control we have over our campaign's performance. In the slide on the previous slide, from November to end of December, there's really 4 distinct periods that we can break down, and we have recommended actions for each. So in this one, we're looking at early to mid-November. So in the beginning of November until just before Thanksgiving, traffic tends to increase, as we can see with the blue columns in this graph, but conversion rate is on the decline. So the key reason for conversion rate dropping off over this period is window shopping. So as we're getting closer to the peak Q4 shopping season, but not quite in it, shoppers are searching out for products to add to their wish list, looking at products that they'll give as gifts or want as gifts, but they're holding out on purchase, either because they're procrastinating, dragging their feet, or because they're waiting for deals. So this is one of the key patterns that we see for the majority of sellers that we work with. A downward trend for the first 3 or so weeks of November. One of the things that really stands out during this period are the drops over weekends. And that's been really consistent across most sellers and categories. So the reason for that is during weekends, people are thrown out of their typical shopping habits. They're in a different pattern. So during the work week, people get ready for work. They have a set schedule. They sit in front of a screen for 8 or 10 hours, where it's so easy to shop and make purchases. Or people pull out their phones over their breaks and make purchases during lunchtime, or just regular intervals throughout the day. So when weekends come up, people are thrown out of those typical purchase habits, and we often see lower conversion rates. On the traffic side, we see a steady increase. So what that means for your PPC campaigns is you could be spending more and more throughout this period, but returning less and less as people are less likely to make purchases. So there are a few key actions that we'd recommend taking in the early to mid-November stage. So in this period, conversion rates are trending down. If your CPC, your cost per click, does not trend down with it, you'll see worse advertising returns. ACoS will climb. So what we recommend is mirroring your bid adjustments with conversion rate trends. And in doing so, you'll maximize your efficiency. So as conversion rate trends down, plan to tape your bids down with it. Like Joe said earlier, let your competition waste their ad spend during periods of low purchase intent, and then let's own a larger impression share when purchase intent is higher. That way we can maximize sales, help ranking, and just earn you more profitability. So over this period, slow taper down of your bids. One thing to keep in mind, I don't necessarily recommend top-down adjustments. That would be just blanket bid adjustments over the period. I'd always take a more granular approach. So dig into your data, look at keywords and product targets that are performing on the bubble, not great, not poor, and load slight reductions to those. Take a close look at any unproductive spend or high ACoS keywords and product targets and load larger scale adjustments to those. Your hero keywords, those that are doing really well, manage based on performance. Let the data tell you what to do. I wouldn't recommend loading bid reductions to keywords that are performing really well. So take it keyword by keyword, case by case, campaign by campaign. One thing to keep in mind is as traffic's ramping up over this period, a lot of sellers are getting more aggressive. So in addition to that conversion rate decline, you could also see cost per click rising if you have bids set well above typical cost per click. So taking proactive steps to reduce those bids should make a large difference in your campaign efficiency. One thing to keep in mind too is as that traffic ramps up, sellers get more competitive, more expensive placements become more expensive. So if top of search rises by 50%, you should take a look at your bidding by placement settings and make sure it makes sense to escalate to the extent that you typically would during these really competitive periods where conversion rate is iffy. Another key thing to focus on is window shopping is the key reason why conversion rate's trending down during this period. So focusing on placements where you can really connect with the shopper, where they'll recall your brand, they'll remember your brand, is key. So like sponsor brand video, sponsor brands with custom images, lifestyle images, those really form a closer connection to the shoppers. They increase brand awareness. So when they're done window shopping and they're ready to make a purchase, they'll recall your brand, they'll recall your listing, they'll circle back and they'll buy your product. So during this period, you're also looking at building awareness, building brand awareness. Another thing to keep in mind too is we're right on the verge of a major conversion rate improvement. So make sure that while you're actively managing your campaigns during this period, you're also prepping for the next period where conversion rate's going to go through the roof. So that's really the Thanksgiving weekend through Cyber Monday. So during this period, you can see a few days before Thanksgiving, conversion rate is up slightly. On Thanksgiving, it takes a sharper dive. The reason for that is exactly the same reason why weekend conversion rate was lower earlier in the year. People are thrown out of their typical shopping habits, and there's a large amount of window shopping. So on that Monday before Thanksgiving through Thanksgiving, I recommend just keeping your bids around the status quo mark, which we'll get into on the next slide. But yeah, key thing here is we're kind of in an early staging area before Black Friday. Conversion rates are around typical levels. Impressions are ramping up as people get ready to start making purchases around Black Friday and Cyber Monday week. On Black Friday, it's off to the races. So we can see a massive increase in impressions. This is actually peak impressions over the course of 2019 and 2020. It's one of the highest traffic days of the year. Conversion rate does step up, but not quite to the extent that we'll see on Cyber Monday and then later in the year. One thing to note is this is 2019 data. 2020 could be a little bit different. There's going to be a lot less brick and mortar shopping this year and a ton of e-com. So Black Friday won't be the typical race through the doors, brick and mortar kind of emphasis. E-com is going to be huge. So we could see an earlier rise in conversion rate on Black Friday. Conversion rate could be on par with Cyber Monday even as well. Then of course, Cyber Monday, we see peak conversion rate for the entire year. Shoppers on Cyber Monday, they're almost 50% more likely to convert than they were just a week earlier. So it's a major purchase day, super high purchase intent. So with that, we have a number of actions that we recommend taking over this period too. So we have to break this period down into a couple sub periods even. So Monday to Thanksgiving, like I said in the last slide, really status quo. Conversion rates right around typical levels. Right now, during that period, there could be a lot of window shopping. People looking for products that could go on sale, have coupons on Black Friday, Cyber Monday week. However, now's the time to also get your product in their mind, have it on their wish list, form a connection with those window shoppers. So when Black Friday and Cyber Monday come, they know your product, they go to your product, they buy it. So when Black Friday hits, we're going to see a massive increase in conversion rate and a huge spike in traffic too. So we want to make sure we're in a good position to capture that traffic. That involves bidding more aggressively. I would say your typical bid increase should be between the 10 to 30% range for Black Friday. But one of the key things that I'd focus on is scaling your higher performing keywords to a greater extent. So those hero keywords with low ACOS, high sales, or even moderate ACOS, high sales, you're going to want to be more aggressive with those and load larger scale bid increases. For keywords that have kind of middling performance, ACOS right around average or right on your target, be more aggressive with those too. We're going to see conversion rate increase during this period. That means that you can increase your bids, pay a higher CPC, and achieve perhaps a better ACOS even while paying more per click. So don't just ramp up your hero keywords. Take a look at keywords on the bubble too. Another key thing is check your bidding by placement. So top of search impressions tend to convert roughly 50 to 100% higher than product page and rest of search placements. They do cost more. It is more competitive to get those placements, but oftentimes the conversion rate benefit outpaces the cost per click premium for those placements. So you can actually achieve better ACOS, much better CTRs, click-through rates, and higher sales through top of search. So look at escalating your top of search settings too. Now's the time when conversion rate is really trending up. On Sunday, before Cyber Monday, there's a huge spike in conversion rate, and then that just continues to incline into Cyber Monday. So that's when you're at peak aggressiveness. Don't go out of budget. So check your budgets, make sure that they're set well, load proactive budget increases. If you're using a global sponsored product budget, ramp it up. If your average spend is getting somewhat close to your campaign level budgets, ramp those up too. Your budget cap in this period when purchase intent is so high could be a profit cap. So be proactive, increase budgets ahead of time. A couple other things to keep in mind during this period too is check your brand defense campaigns. Make sure you're adequately defending your brand. The last thing you want is people searching for your product, then purchasing your competitors because they outbid you for your own keywords. You're more relevant for those. You will convert substantially higher for your own brand keywords, and you'll produce substantially better returns than your competition, typically at a major, profitable level, low ACOS. So make sure that you're bidding aggressively, very aggressively for your branded campaigns. Also, make sure you're running ACE and defense campaigns. Those would be cross-promotion product targeting campaigns. So bidding on your own product targets. Somebody clicks through on your product page, give them an outlet to purchase that isn't your competitors. You don't want to give up your market share during the holiday season. Another key thing is cast a wide net. So conversion rate is at its absolute peak during this time frame. So now is the time to look at longer tail broad match keywords or broad match in general. We use seeding campaigns where we have a large mix of pretty broad high-end funnel keywords with specific campaign settings that are conducive to good returns, but they generate a ton of impressions and produce really good returns. Now's the time to cast a larger net and reach a wider audience. Couple other things, use sponsored display product targeting. So if somebody clicks through on your competitor's detail page, show your product there. Sponsored display product target placements, they're on an island. It's just your product right below the product description or right underneath where you make the purchase. So they're super valuable placements. Since there's no auto campaigns for sponsored display, cost per click isn't jacked up for a lot of these product targets. So in many cases, you pay less for sponsored display product targets than sponsored products. Well, your placement is much more apparent. It shows coupons or promotions and stuff in it. Great ad placement, make sure to use it. And sponsored brand video, much more competitive, but conversion rates are through the roof during typical times of the year. We're averaging roughly 20% conversion rate for sponsored brand video. So during the holidays, that's going to go up even further. There's more competition because there are fewer placements, but the placement is massive. Conversion rates are high. If you're not using sponsored brand video, get video campaigns going. Yeah, and then I guess the last piece too would be during this period is set up sponsored display retargeting ads or use DSP. In the previous periods, the last 30 days, there was a bunch of window shopping, shoppers that were looking for your product, but not ready to purchase. Now they are. So SD retargeting, DSP, it's a great way of getting your product back in front of those window shoppers and encourage them to complete a purchase during the period where they have the highest purchase intent of the year. Yeah, so a lot of stuff in play. All of it segues into the next period too. So all the work that you do to prep for that Cyber Monday weekend, it's going to benefit you during this period too. So early December to mid-December, the period approaching Christmas, conversion rates are really strong. They're pretty stable. Coming out of Cyber Monday, there's a little bit of a drop in conversion rate, tons of buying, and then people are slightly more passive, but it ramps right back up to almost Cyber Monday levels, and it holds strong there for a pretty extended period of time. So during that period, if you missed out on, so maybe your Black Friday was underwhelming, your Cyber Monday was underwhelming, you have this extended period of time to have another shot. Learn from your mistakes, learn lessons, go through your campaigns, load adjustments, and you have a golden opportunity to drive tons of traffic to your products, where conversion rate is at its highest point of the year. So a few recommendations for this period, December leading up to kind of a week before Christmas, would be, so I guess week one, look at managing bids based on the previous 14 days or so. Dig into your campaigns, see what performed well during Black Friday, Cyber Monday, what didn't. So bid reductions to those underperforming targets are really beneficial during that week one period when conversion rate's down. If it didn't convert well during Black Friday, Cyber Monday, it probably isn't going to convert all that well during this period either. So that's a good way to cut. It's a good time to cut unproductive spend. After that first week though, things scale right back up to almost Cyber Monday levels. So it's the most wonderful time of the year. Stay aggressive, leverage the same tactics as Cyber Monday week. You now have way more data to manage from over the past few weeks too. So review results, make adjustments, be aggressive, and capture that really high intent traffic. Once we're like a week out from Christmas, so that December 18th to the 22nd mark, conversion rate starts trending down quite a bit. So you're going to want to start throttling back during those periods and making adjustments each day. These have to be somewhat top down because the preceding days, weeks are going to have really strong performance. It's a totally different time of year, all of a sudden like a light switch. So just be proactive and start scaling things back, both bids and budget. And that will continue into the final period that we're going to review during this webinar, and that is Christmas week. So during the week of Christmas, there's a pretty major drop down, a steep decline in conversion rate. The gift giving season's over. Shoppers are less likely to purchase. Products won't be delivered in time for Christmas around that, up to a week before. That's also a keynote too, is we don't know what ship times, typical delivery times will be around this time frame. And so if it's typically 9 days to deliver your product or 7 days to deliver your product, that ramp down will happen a little bit earlier. People want to get their products before Christmas Eve. So the conversion rate decline could start a few days earlier this year than last year, depending on what typical fulfillment is. So once we hit that period where products will be delivered after the 23rd, load large scale proactive adjustments. During that period, conversion rates, like during Christmas, conversion rates were 50% lower than peak. That means if your cost per click stays the same, your ACoS is going to double. Not good. So be proactive, cut bids back really substantially. Any target that has poor performance over the last month is not going to perform well during Christmas. Like it missed during the best time of the year. It's not going to work from Christmas time to end of year. So cut unproductive spend. Go through your search and reports, add negatives, pause keywords, pause product targets. Look at November results. Use earlier results as a benchmark and then adjust from there. So just take a hard look at how search terms are performing, how keywords are performing, how campaigns are performing, and be really conservative. Load large scale adjustments. Cut back your budgets. Take a look at global budget. It's a really easy way of controlling spend during this period. One thing to keep in mind, January has fantastic conversion rates. It's a really good month. So if you're a little bit more passive, you can serve your spends from Christmas time to end of year. Just allocate that spend to January when things pick right back up. So take a look at budget reductions, bid reductions, be proactive would be my recommendation. So just to recap these trends, leading up to Thanksgiving, there is a lot of conversion rate volatility. Be proactive around weekends, check your account, see if these weekend trends hold up for you. For most, they do, and be more passive on weekends. As we get into Thanksgiving, get ready for the major ramp up. Around Black Friday, Cyber Monday, you're going to want to load large scale proactive adjustments. You're going to want to cast a wider net. Make sure you're using every ad type possible. If things are working on the sponsored product targeting side, chances are they'll work on the sponsored display product targeting side. Use sponsored brands, lifestyle, custom images, especially video, especially. Use every tool at your disposal to maximize your exposure during Black Friday, Cyber Monday, and mid-December. Then, leading into Christmas, watch average delivery times and be super proactive. Load bid reductions, be very conservative, throttle back budget if needed, and just go into a little bit of a holding pattern and get ready for January, which is a really strong month. So in this webinar, we covered quite a few topics around the holiday season, but there's so much more that all ties into this too. So in the future, we're going to offer more webinars. A couple things that I'd really recommend taking a look at, doing more research, and would be like ad type integration. Anything that works in sponsored products, which is most sellers' bread and butter, tends to work quite well in sponsored brands and very well in sponsored display. So make sure you're integrating and using targets, learning lessons, and integrating campaign data across all ad types. On the campaign side, make sure that you're using funnels. Getting great performance is all about controllability. So as things convert, move them into more controllable match types. Negate at the previous stage, drive more traffic where you have more control. Understanding bidding by placement, it seems like it is relatively simple. It's not, because every bidding by placement setting needs to be cascaded down to your bid strategy as well. So setting the right bid for, say, a lower performing placement, and then appropriately escalating it for better performing placements. Very important topic. I guess one of the key takeaways for this is top of search tends to convert anywhere from 50 to 100% better than the other placements. So typically you'd be escalating your top of search settings, not so much your product page setting. Another thing that we'd love to teach you more about is how we design our campaigns. So we segment campaigns by high, mid, and low funnel. When we do that, we can control awareness and profitability and be able to shift between objectives on the fly. Brand defense is huge, And our cross promotion on the product targeting side is one of our most effective campaigns that we run. We'd love to tell you more about how to leverage brand analytics for your product targeting campaigns, how to cast a wide net while returning amazing profitability like ROAS and ACOS from catch-all and seeding campaigns, and then how to help your products rank organically for specific keywords through PPC. We have a really cool ranking campaign design too. So all of these would be future topics, but take a mental note. A lot of these items are key for Q4 too.
Thanks, Matt. Yeah, so thanks for all the questions. What we'll be doing is reaching out after the webinar, and we'll be answering each of these specifically. But if you want to reach out to us personally, feel free to go to our website or send us an email at contact@advance. We're also very engaged on LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram. So connect with us there, follow along, and really want to say thank you for joining the webinar, for watching through everything, and let us know if there's any way that we can help. Thanks.